yesterday's video, and I hope you're ready for today's crazy tale as we dive into the Halloween murder of Taylor Van Diest. But first, let's grab ourselves a nice beverage, a glass of wine, a tea, whatever it is, so we can get nice and cozy for spooky season. Cheers. Oh yeah, this is my second video I'm filming. So I've had a couple of these now, and I learned from my first video that I didn't pour a big enough drink, so it's gonna be a fun one. I hope you guys have had a wonderful day. I hope you guys are getting right into spooky season as I am. I tried really hard to get nice and pretty for you guys tonight. For some reason, I love this look so much, and I feel more confident than ever. I have no clue why. I think when the bar is just real low, everything's just so simple and easy and fun, right? I guess so. Well, with all that being said, get yourselves nice and comfortable, and let's dive into today's little Halloween horror tale. So, on October 31st, 2011, 10 years ago, soon 18-year-old Taylor Van Diest left her home in Armstrong, British Columbia, dressed as a zombie for Halloween. Hi. Also, I didn't realize this was in BC. That's close. I didn't know this was a Canadian story. Great. Taylor had plans to meet with friends and enjoy a night of trick-or-treating. I would trick-or-treat in this. Her walk alongside the railway track in the small farming town around 6 p.m. that evening took her into a secluded area. I didn't realize this was near a train, so if the train passes my house tonight, do I leave it in the video? We'll see how obnoxiously loud it is. Maybe it's good ambiance, I don't know. But anyway, Taylor is in the dark with no one around her, and she had sent a text to her friends that she was being creeped. It was the last message that she had sent to a friend, and that was received before she was brutally attacked. She was clubbed over the head and strangled, being left on the ground to die as her attacker had ran off into the night. She was found almost 3 hours later, lying face down and barely alive. Taylor Van Diest was rushed to the hospital with her friends and family following her behind, but had died soon after without ever regaining consciousness. I didn't realize that's how she died. I read this so long ago. I feel a little weird about my head and neck now, but anyway. The night of Halloween on October 31st each year is traditionally one of costume and bonfires intended to protect against ghosts. In more modern times, it's evolved into pranks and candy with children going door to door, trick-or-treating. With its backdrop of dark nights, ghouls, and mischief, it has unfortunately seen a number of horrific crimes take place in amongst the trick-or-treaters, taking advantage he was working up north, so what? He has a job, you can't find him. I'm sure they tried to look into that, but I mean, I work up north and you find people quite easily. But anyway, I don't work on a rig. I don't know. So, in March of 2017, the CBC Radio Canada reported that a new trial had been granted for Matthew Forrester based on his latest appeal. Within that appeal, his lawyers had argued how the judge in his trial had instructed the jury on the interpretation of Taylor Van Diest's last text message, saying that and her use of the term being creeped was incorrect. Further issues